Megan, I know you are so busy, so thanks so much for hanging out with me and spending some time with us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
You know, we were just talking, even before we went live, of how many friends we have in common. And Rachel Hollis first introduced me to you. And then we have a mutual friend, Jessica Honecker. And I just love connecting with women winning in business. Now, I'm a huge fan of your business, Evereve. But for anyone listening that isn't familiar with what it is, tell us a little bit about your business.
Yes, Evereve is a retail fashion and styling company. So we have 86 stores across the country, retail stores. We have a really great thriving e-com business, and we have a new subscription styling service that's been around for about 3 years. And it's a styling service where we style boxes of clothes for women and send them directly to their home. And that's called Transcend. So we sell contemporary clothing that is designed to make women look and feel their very best.
I love it. Well, you may not know this, but I actually use Evereve as an example on stage all the time whenever I'm teaching unique position and how you can brand yourself and set yourself apart in the competition. And I use some of your examples like in the Nashville store of Evereve, some of the taglines and stuff, because you really have built this successful business, but you have beautiful branding, and now you have new kind of legs of the business that has evolved over time. But I want to kind of go back to the beginning, because it's easy to look at someone like you and think, okay, 86 stores, hugely successful. I'm sure that just happened overnight, right? And so let's go back to the beginning. And I remember you saying in an Inc. magazine article that I read where you felt your calling was to be a stay-at-home mom, and you felt so happy and fulfilled in motherhood. But then there started to be some rumblings in you and kind of this stirring in your heart. So take us back there and talk about what that was like and what you mean by that.
Absolutely. So my dream for my life was always to be a mom. I had always wanted a family. I had always been wanted to be a mom. And I thought I'd also be a third grade teacher. That was what I had been raised my whole life to think I was going to do. My parents were educators. And so I went to college really thinking I'd be a third grade teacher until I eventually became a mom. And ended up getting married, meeting a great man, starting a family. And I was living my dream. I was loving being a mom. And when I was out, just living my life as a mom, I had a terrible experience shopping for clothes. I was also a woman that loved fashion, and I loved clothes. And so I was out shopping one day for clothing and had a terrible experience shopping as a mom for fashion. And it was really on that drive home from that terrible experience that I just organically developed a concept around fashion for moms on that drive home after that bad experience. So that's really where the whole concept began. And I was home with kids, dreamed this concept, this store, and truly started just creating it in my mind, this business in my mind. And as I was raising my kids, I had this side business I was creating that I never thought in a million years would become a reality. It was always supposed to be a dream. And so that was where it all kind of began, honestly, with like a dream that organically happened. You know,
it's funny, so many women I talk to say similar things in terms of, they're like, I never set out to start a business. I never had a dream to be an entrepreneur. I never was business minded. I was quote unquote just a mom. And it's funny how they kind of accidentally slide into business versus deciding to have a business. And many of them, their ideas come from solving their own problems. You know, that's how the creator of the Zippity Zip, Stephanie Parker, or the creator of the Webinub. It was all just a mom like, hey, I've got a problem here. I'm going to solve it for myself. And I bet other moms have this same problem. And that's where some of the best business ideas come from. So I love that. So you're a mom, you're a third grade teacher, you're fulfilled as a mom, but you've got this problem with shopping and finding great fashion for moms. But still, you're at home and you're like, how do I even know what to do? You know, you were dreaming of it in your mind, but when did you start to take real steps? When did something actually get out of your head and to begin to happen in reality where that kind of fear, you pushed it aside enough to do something about it?
Right. Yeah. So as I said, it was about 5 years of a journey of dreaming.
Okay.
Dreaming that I thought, would never come true.
Right, right.
And it's funny because I look back and that's all I could talk about was this concept. If I was with my friends at the playground, all I wanted to talk about was this brand that I was creating. When I was on date nights with my husband, that's all I wanted to talk about. So it was 5 years of, I would say, dreaming and a lot of passion and excitement about this brand that I was creating. About 5 years of doing this, I hit what I call a funk. I started having sleeping issues, which was new to me. At this point, I have 2 kids under the age of 5. And taking care of them, home with them, loving being a mom. But I started struggling with sleeping issues at night, and really would say I had severe insomnia. I was doing a ton of reality TV show watching, which, this was many, many years ago when reality TV was like what Instagram is today, I would say. A temptation to escape your life and kind of watch others. So I was watching a lot of reality TV shows at night. And honestly, my husband would come home from work and I would just, we'd put the kids to bed and I would just kind of sometimes just cry. I felt a little lost, a little, a rumbling. There was just something going on in me that I was couldn't quite figure out, but I knew something was wrong. And so I did what I had been taught to do. I was raised with a really strong faith, and I have so many mentors and leaders in my life who have taught me to just, spend a lot of time just in deep reflection. Quiet time is really important. I was raised to believe quiet time was really important. So I decided at this point that I was going to figure out what was wrong, and made a commitment to myself to get up every morning, very early in the morning, when the kids were still asleep, when my husband was still asleep, and I was going to just take some time for myself to think, to reflect, to read, to pray. And I went on this, I would say, year-long journey of reflection and prayer, and really asking God to help me and show me what was going on with me. Like, show me what's missing in my life. And it was through that time of prayer and reflection and reading. I had some really great books that were hot at the time about finding your purpose, finding your calling. It was through that journey that I really came to terms with the fact that maybe, just maybe, this is who you are. Maybe you are a woman that is an entrepreneur and a fashionista and a saleswoman, and all these things I thought that I discovered in this time about myself that I hadn't really thought about myself prior to that, being that. And it was through that journey that I discovered and thought, and it was quite scary, that maybe this dream that I'd been so passionate about for 5 years and so excited about was really needed to be born. So that was kind of where that all began.
Talk to me a little bit about that year, because I bet there are women listening right now, Megan, that are in that year. They're in that season, and they have so many competing voices. There are voices that say, you're selfish if you want more, and you're a bad mom if you want to do something beyond being a stay-at-home mom. Or maybe they were raised by stay-at-home moms and had mentors that said, this is what a good Christian woman does. Her first place is in the home. And so these stirrings feel selfish, or the desire to do something more they feel guilty for it. So you've got all these competing thoughts that you're trying to wrestle through. What was it like wading through that, and how did you come to the truth that you realized through that process?
Well, I think my number one fear was certainly this would harm my children. That starting, being the ultimate, most amazing, and I was a 3rd grade teacher, so I rocked at being a stay-at-home mom. I was the best stay-at-home mom. I loved it, and I was great at it. So to think about myself not being home with my children, not focusing on them, not being with them, and following this dream, that was terrifying for me, and that was definitely the stumbling block. It was like, if I follow this dream, is this going to ruin my children? And I had so much fear around that. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you, but I think during my quiet time, during my thinking time, during my reflection time, I just came to terms with the idea that one of the best gifts that I could give my children was to not be a mom who was laying on the couch at night watching other people's dreams come true, but being a mom who was alive and passionate and just fully alive and happy. And so I think once I made that, I was thinking about the mom that I was becoming, which was honestly every night at 7 o'clock at night, I was laying on the couch watching reality TV shows. And so I thought to myself, wow, I just made this decision that I feel like for me, being the best mom is doing whatever it takes to be happy and to be fully alive and to be passionate. That's a better gift to my children.
Amen. Oh, I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
it makes me so sad, Megan, when I see women in any stage of life where they're doing something because they feel like that's the right thing to do. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what their mom or husband or whoever told them to do. But they're so very unhappy. And I'm going, the best gift to your family, the best gift to yourself, the best gift to the world is for you to be the best version of yourself, where you're alive. And I love that. I love how you said, when you were talking about this journey, you said, I began to wonder maybe if that is who I am. I am an entrepreneur. I am a small business owner. And, you know, I think, Megan, a lot of times women, anyone probably does this, but I work with women the most. We put labels on ourselves and limitations on ourselves, and then we live within them. And we say, well, I'm just a third grade teacher. Well, I'm just a mom. Well, I'm not business minded, or whatever that label is. We put that on ourselves and then live within it. And I love how you considered the possibility that that limitation was not true and that label was incorrect, and that maybe there's something for you that was different than what you thought about yourself. I love the quote. I use this a lot, Megan. I didn't know I was a bell until someone picked me up and rang me. And so as you've built this business, you've identified gifts in yourself and strengths and passions you didn't even know you had until you stepped into that new role. Now, I want to highlight one thing you said, and this was in that article in Inc. magazine, and you were talking about watching the reality TV, and it said...
American Idol, American Idol, yeah.
You said something clicked. You said to yourself, you're sitting around watching other people's dreams come true, and then you can't be a spectator anymore. And I love that it was this moment. It was this line in the sand.
Epic moment.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm going to do something about it. Okay, so from that moment forward, what changed? What changed about how you viewed yourself, and what changed like in your actions? What did you do about it then?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is I went cold turkey on watching TV.
Okay.
So I literally, after that American Idol moment when Ruben Studdard won, and I was watching all these people thinking about the dreams that came true that night. I was thinking about Ruben Studdard. I was thinking about American Idol. I was thinking about the makeup artists. I was thinking about the set directors. I was thinking about the costume designers. Like I watched the show and I was thinking about all the people at that moment whose dreams were coming true. And then I saw myself just as this mom sitting on the sidelines watching them. And it really was this epic moment. As cheesy as it sounds, it was this epic, dramatic moment where I was like, I'm done with TV. So I did get up and turn the TV off and made a commitment that I was no longer going to watch TV. So that was a little dramatic.
Yep.
And I quit TV cold turkey. Yep. And that was one of the best decisions of my life for me at that time. And then I decided to my husband, who is watching me go through this journey, and he's excited about this business. He's my business partner. He is, he's a CPA. He's a business guy. He's watching me like create this brand, and he's like real into it and excited. And he was really encouraged me. He said, "You now need to spend your evenings getting everything that's in your head for these past 5 years, all these dreams, all these ideas you're so excited about, just get them on paper, get your dreams on paper." And I think that's a huge, huge thought. I'm a big believer in getting your dreams written down. I believe what gets written down on paper gets done.
Yes.
So really, I spent, instead of watching reality TV at night, I spent my evenings writing my dreams down on paper. And I remember one night, you kind of think some of your dreams are dumb. When you're building something, you're sort of like, okay, this is like crazy. And I had ideas that like maybe I thought were like I was insecure. And my husband was so sweet. He's like, write them all down. Write the crazy ones down. Write the dumb ones down. Just get them all down. And that was very cleansing for me. That was a really cool time in my life where I just got to write down these dreams on paper.
I love that.
So I did that. Yeah. That was the start of the business plan.
You know, it's
which
funny.
Then,
It's funny too, because I think that so often we make these leaps in our mind, at least for other people. We think, oh, well, they just, went out and set up 5 stores one day. But the impressive things in life always start as very unimpressive things. It starts with just writing your dream down on paper. And Megan, so often I know we struggle with, oh, I never have enough time. I never have enough time. We never have enough time. We're busy moms. And that feels true. But research shows the average American watches 3 to 5 hours of TV per day. So if you were to look at just the time that you spend watching TV, or just the time that you spend scrolling Instagram or whatever, cat memes, and you were to write down your dream or write down your ideas. I love that you did this, because I would bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, I would bet that the hours spent watching TV, which feel at the moment like an escape, don't give you energy. They don't give you life, though, right? Like afterwards, you're not like, man, I feel really good about my life or how I spent my time. But when you write down your dreams, even though it sounds like work, it's actually very life-giving. It's actually it gives you energy, and afterwards you're probably like, I'm more fired up than I was before. But it's this, it seems counterintuitive where, watching TV feels like relaxing, but it's actually, you get the most energy and life from writing your dreams down. So I love that you spent your time that way.
Yeah, so that was a huge moment, and it felt good. I mean, I was telling you I was struggling with sleeping. Well, I was struggling with sleeping because I had all these ideas racing around in my head. And it just felt so good to get them out on paper.
I love that your husband was so supportive too, and he's like, write everything down. One of the things I've done before, and I see a lot of women do, is I describe it as hats. We have a creative hat and we have an editing hat. And we try to wear both hats at once, where we try to create, and then before an idea even makes it to paper, we shut it down. Oh, well, that's silly. That's unrealistic. We don't have the money. No one will buy it. It's like, well, nothing will ever
just get it out.
Get birthed if you shut it down. First, create, anything goes, and then later go back and edit and refine it to your best ideas. But I love that you did that. Like everything made it on paper. Okay, so you're writing everything down. You're spending your evenings, like you said, very cleansing, getting all these 5 years of ideas on paper. What happened next? How did it get from paper to the real world?
Yeah. So then my husband, who is a CPA and a business thinker, I showed it to him. And so I gave it to him and I said, here it is. Here's the dream. And he then spent the next 3 months poring over it like I did. I like to say pouring his magic over it. And he really put numbers to everything. So he did his financial model, a formula. He figured out, what it was going to cost, what we would need to make this work. And he poured his magic into it. And finally, I'll never forget this moment. We sat down one night after he was done with his work, and he looked at me and he showed me what I would call a business plan. And he said, okay, so for us to do this, for this first store to open, you would need to sell $1,500 a day to break even, to make sure, to break even for that first store. And he broke it down even further. It was so smart because he broke it down into, that would probably be, I'm not a numbers person, so he broke it down into that'll probably be 5 pair of jeans, 3 tops. I'm making this up. I don't know what
totally.
It was, but, and 2 shoes. Yeah. I don't know, whatever it was. But he broke it down into the realities of what I would need to sell to break even on that very first store, for us for this to be a legitimate business. And so I did. I'm a processor. I'm a thinker. I do this morning quiet time. So he gave me that number, which was $1,500. And I took it, and for about 2 or 3 days, I thought about that number, and I just asked myself, do you think you can do this? Do you think you can sell $1,500 a day? And I literally, in my head, I thought about how I could do that. I thought, okay, my mom will surely, will probably buy something, my sister-in-laws, I could then push it out to the cousins, and then maybe the neighbors, and I could have a party. So I spent a couple days really processing that number, because a number is important. You need to be able to hit sales goals to stay alive and to really not lose our investment.
Right.
So I really took a lot of time to really think about, do I think I could hit that number? And so I came back to him a couple days later and I said, I think I could. I think that number feels doable. I think the first step was just believing that I could do it. That number, I could reach that goal.
Okay, I want to ask you about that, because for someone that has never sold a thing, you're a third grade teacher. You have been dreaming about this business, but you have no proof. I know there are some women that, Megan, that number would cripple them. Like they would think $1,500 and they'd be like, I could never. Like, even unless my mom bought everything in the store, I don't have a chance.
Do that?
Where did that belief come from? Because I think that belief is so important. It can make or break someone making it a business. Like, you've got to, if you don't believe in your business, no one else will. So talk to me about, like, where did that come from?
You have to believe. I don't know. I just think I thought about it. I thought about, okay, we're going to open a store. There are going to be people walking by. I definitely saw myself having to take risks and be courageous, for sure. Yeah. Like, I knew that number was not, in my mind, I knew that number was not going to come easy in the beginning. Okay. Like, I really told myself, you're going to have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be courageous.
Right.
You're going to have to make phone calls. You're going to have to chase people out the door.
Yeah.
You're going to get rejected. You know, it was a lot of recognizing that I was going to have to be courageous to make that number happen.
I like that.
So I'll be honest, like, I think I am where I am today, not because I had experience, not because I'm, went to business school. I'm where I am today simply because I was courageous. I was just courageous and willing to put myself in very vulnerable, scary situations. But I believed if I was courageous, I could hit that number. $1,500 felt doable to me for a store location.
Well, and I love that you boiled it down to that number. So you had this goal and you're like, okay, this is the thing I'm going to focus on. I love that you processed it. But, I think a lot of people, Megan, have this idea that, well, some people are just super confident. It's just a gene they have. They're confident, and some people don't have that gene. And if you don't have it, well, too bad for you. You're not born that way. But, I think confidence is totally misunderstood in that way, where confidence is a choice that's available to all of us. And for me, the way that I describe confidence is not, I'm 100% certain it's going to work out. I'm not 100% confident it's going to be a success, but I'm confident I'm willing to try. And I love that part of your story where you're saying, I'm willing to try. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to do what I need to do to get to that $1,500. And yes, there's a risk. Of course, there's always a risk in the unknown, but you were just willing to try. And I think that's a huge difference in people that go for it in business and people that don't, if you're willing to just put yourself out there and try it. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for help identifying your own unique position in your business, you can click the link below to download our SWOT analysis worksheet.